a sip. How you can achieve anything you want, right? I've noticed on my journey in the last 3 years of my life that 99% of the time, when it came to me achieving the things that I have, all it was a mentality shift, right? Now, what do I mean by that? The best way to explain it is you need to go from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And this was a huge pivotal moment because it just changed the way I thought about everything, right? For example, when I wanted to purchase something and I thought about, okay, I can purchase this or this, instead of me having to choose, it made me rewire the way I thought and basically made me think of, okay, instead of me having to pick and choose, what do I have to do in order to just not choose and be able to buy both, for example, right? Or another great example is, you know, this is my favorite example, is actually when I see a lot of people being jealous of other people being in certain positions, and they're just jealous because they see this person doing better than them, right? And they envy that, or they think because they are successful, it's going to prohibit them from being successful. When in reality, there's more than enough to go around. It's just that barrier you have in front of you, and it's the fact that you just are not putting in the work, right? They have put in the work, and so they're showing you there's proof in the pudding. It's just you have to change your perspective and look at it in a different way instead of like, oh my gosh, they're doing better than me. They're prohibiting me from doing that. When in reality, bro, there's a more than enough to go around, right? And I mean specifically about money. Now, back to the mentality shift, right? When it came to me changing, basically doing things out of how I felt and out of discipline, that's when I started to see the ball roll the most. Because at this point, no matter how I felt, I would try to just win the day, right? Because I knew that there were certain things that had to get done no matter how I felt. And when I won the day, if I could win enough days in the week, I won the week. And then if I could win enough weeks in the month, I won the month. And then if I win enough months, I'll win the year, right? And that's how I kept progress. And then a huge accomplishment of mine, and it's not even a huge accomplishment, it was more so just so eye opening, is I hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. And this was like, it was just mind blowing because you start to think about, like, holy shit, I can just 10x and get to a million, right? And yes, 10xing is hard, but as a lot of you probably know by now, and if you don't, I'll explain this. A lot of growth comes in a very curved, I'm forgetting the word. Basically, it's very slow in the beginning, but once things start to pick up, they really start to, basically the snowball effect, where the snowball starts off rolling small, but the more you go, the bigger it gets, the faster, right? It's like an exponential, there you go, graph. Um, so going from 100,000 to a million, I feel like it's definitely easier than going from 0 to 100,000 followers. And this is just giving you guys an example. Has nothing to do with the actual followers. It's just like an eye-opening accomplishment that made me realize things. So when I hit this, I was like, wow, you know, just from me showing that I can, show up every day, post no matter how I feel, I've gotten to this point. So if I can get to this point, why can't I get to that point, right? And that's how you'll be able to achieve whatever it is that you want. As long as you can show up, change your mentality, which will change your actions, and your actions will change your future, that's how, right? And this was huge for me, simply just because, as I mentioned, like I started to hit goals that were just eye opening, right? And it was like, wow, like if I just continue to do this, imagine where I'll be in a year or two from now. And that moves on to my second point is, with you being able to achieve whatever you want, you have to realize and understand that you can't put a time frame on these things, right? The number one thing that I see most people complain about and give up on when trying to pursue whatever it is they're simply turned off by the fact that it's not happening quick enough. But you need to understand, these things take time, right? Good things take time, and that's what makes them so significant in achieving whatever it is at a high level, right? Because if things were that easy to achieve, then there would be no significance in actually achieving, that certain whatever it is at the top level. And so I see so many people give up because it doesn't happen for them in a couple months, when you need to understand, guys, that when you are trying to achieve something, it's going to take time. The amount of time it takes is different for everybody, but as long as you understand that you're not wasting time, do not put a cap on how long it will take you to achieve this thing, right? So understanding those two things alone will change your life, I promise. If you can implement changing your mentality, which changes your actions, and just the limitation on being in such a urge to be successful and having no time cap on whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, your life will change, right? There's a quote that says, "The man who loves walking will walk further than the man that loves the destination." Right? If you get so caught up in the journey and you just love the journey and you continue to grind and grind and grind, you will go farther than you can imagine, because you're not actually being motivated and driven by the goals. You're being driven by the actions, right? The day to day stuff. And that will take you farther than you can ever imagine. And I don't say this stuff to cap, right? I say this stuff because I've done it, right? I've been on my self improvement journey for 3 years now. I've posted on YouTube. I've had a couple viral videos. I believe one of my most viral videos was like 15 million views, or almost 15 million. And I only say that to give some credibility to putting in work and understanding how things work and getting lucky, the harder you work, right? And that's a huge thing that I see most people try to push on other people. It's like, oh, you just got lucky. Well, yeah, of course I got lucky, bro. God's on my side. The harder I work, the luckier I get. And that's the same thing that will happen to you. The harder you work, the luckier you will get. And so understanding all these things, putting them all together, will help you achieve whatever it is you want, right? And another statistic just to throw into whatever it is you're trying to achieve, if it's of monetary value, I heard this quote from Dave Ramsey, or just the statistic actually. I believe it's upward of 80% of millionaires nowadays came from $1,000 or less of inherited money. Meaning, if you are blaming, rich people for simply, being inherited money, or, money was always in their family, bro, almost 80% of millionaires came from virtually nothing, right? $1,000 is like a paycheck, right? 2 weeks of working full time. And that was huge for, I mean, not really for me, because I always understood that you can go from nothing to something in America, in this country at least. But for most people that I tell that to, they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. Because it's a belief, I feel like, that most people have, that you need to have some in order to make some, and it's not true at all. Look at the statistics, right? So just understanding all of these concepts, changing your mentality, as I've mentioned a couple times already, that's what's going to change everything. It starts in here before it comes out here, right? So hopefully you took something away from this video. As always, because you need to implement the shit I'm saying. Otherwise, there's no point in you watching this video. I love you guys. Definitely leave a comment. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions, feedback in the comment section. And I will see you guys in the next one, baby. See ya.